You said that.
Let me ask
you
somebody.
Said
Somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear.
I think you heavy. Do you think I'm like from
what she got?
I think she's heavy. I think she's heavy.
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, then it would have been over.
Atlanta was quiet that night. Too quiet, until the internet blew up with a betrayal so wild it made everyone stop scrolling. A leaked hotel video hit the web, shaking the entire Harris family to their core. The footage showed none other than Clifford T.I. Harris in a dimly lit luxury suite, cozying up with Shekinah Anderson, the same woman the world once knew as Tiny's closest friend. This wasn't street gossip or blurry screenshots. This was crystal clear proof of betrayal caught in 4K. TikTok went insane, Twitter lost its mind, and Instagram turned into a war zone. Hashtags like #exposed and #justice for Tiny exploded overnight, flooding timelines with heartbreak, disgust, and disbelief. The clip didn't need any explanation. It spoke louder than any apology ever could. Empty champagne bottles sparkled under the hotel lights, the curtains barely hiding the chaos inside. And there, in the middle of it all, T.I. and Shekinah were caught in an embrace that shattered everything he once stood for. The man who preached loyalty, family, and respect suddenly looked like a stranger to his own words. Fans didn't hold back. They started stitching the video with old clips of Tiny speaking about trust and love, making the betrayal sting even worse. What once seemed like tabloid chatter had now turned into a full-blown digital earthquake. A private heartbreak had become a public scandal, and Atlanta, it would never look at the Harris family the same way again.
It just put a lot of back and forth, a lot more strain on just what we had going on. Afraid of that, and it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we was about to divorce here and there, and breaking up here and there.
But Tiny wasn't about to sit back and cry in silence. Oh no, she came ready for war. Instead of hiding behind vague posts or pretending to be unbothered, she walked straight into that courtroom with her head high and pain written all over her face. Cameras flashed like fireworks as she made her grand entrance. Every step screaming power and heartbreak. She filed what's now being called the betrayal lawsuit of the decade. A jaw-dropping $50 million case against both T.I. and Shekinah. The accusations, emotional abuse, betrayal, and the ultimate public humiliation that turned her private pain into viral entertainment. Reporters were stunned. $50 million wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a statement. That was the price Tiny put on decades of loyalty shattered and a home torn apart. The courtroom became the hottest stage in America. Every seat packed, every word recorded. But just when everyone thought the drama had peaked, a mystery source dropped a bombshell. A secret diary allegedly written by Shekinah herself. Inside, one line made jaws drop. Clifford promised me he'd leave Tiny. He told me we'd rule the industry together. Those chilling words hit like thunder. Tiny broke down right there in front of everyone, her voice shaking as she screamed that they had ruined her life and stolen her family. The moment went viral within minutes. Millions watching, hearts breaking in real time. Tiny was no longer just a celebrity wife. She became the tragic queen of betrayal, a woman the world suddenly saw as a fighter, standing tall in the ruins of a love story gone terribly wrong. But T.I. wasn't about to let the internet write his story for him. He came swinging back hard. His legal team dropped a bombshell defense, claiming the entire scandal was nothing but a setup. They said the footage was staged, the leak was orchestrated, and Shekinah had masterminded it all for fame and clout. The courtroom gasped in disbelief. Was this the betrayal everyone thought it was, or a twisted trap designed to bring T.I. down and cash in on his downfall? Shekinah didn't take that lying down. She jumped up and fired right back, saying he was the real manipulator. She claimed T.I. promised her love, whispered about a future together, and then left her to take all the heat once the truth blew up. Two women who once stood as sisters now faced each other like sworn enemies. Both broken, both furious, and both fighting not just for justice, but for their dignity. Meanwhile, the internet turned into pure chaos. Shekinah's Instagram became a battlefield. Comments flooded in calling her a snake, a homewrecker, a family destroyer. Memes started flying everywhere, painting her as the villain of a modern-day tragedy, while Tiny was crowned the people's hero. Her face began appearing on fan-made murals with captions like, "Justice for Tiny," and "The Queen deserves better." The comment sections overflowed with tears, heartbreak emojis, and furious fans calling out T.I. for burning down his own empire. Then came the darkest, most heartbreaking moment of all. Tiny stepped out of the courthouse holding her daughter's hand, her voice trembling as cameras surrounded her. Through her tears, she whispered, "Look what your father did to us. Look how he destroyed our home." That moment shattered the internet. Timelines froze, hearts broke, And suddenly, this wasn't just another celebrity scandal. It was a public tragedy no one could look away from. It had turned into a full-blown family tragedy, playing out live for the entire world to witness. Every detail, every tear, every gasp streamed across millions of screens. Endorsement deals started collapsing one by one. Concerts were canceled left and right, and furious fans gathered outside T.I.'s mansion with signs demanding answers. Shekinah's name was dragged through the mud, her reputation scorched beyond repair, while Tiny, heartbroken but unbroken, became the woman the whole world cried for. Then, just when everyone thought the chaos had peaked, Tiny's lawyers dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. Out of nowhere, they played audio recordings, a man's voice sounding exactly like T.I., whispering in panic, "Just keep it quiet, Shekinah. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." The courtroom erupted. Gasps filled the air. Reporters rushed to tweet every word, and Tiny buried her face in her hands as the sound of betrayal echoed through the speakers. Moments later, the evidence got even messier. Hotel receipts surfaced, with Shekinah's name tied directly to T.I.'s reservation. The proof was cold, clear, and undeniable. This wasn't just gossip anymore. It was documented betrayal, stamped and sealed in black and white. By day 2 of the trial, the courtroom had turned into a theater of heartbreak. Tiny's legal team came armed with a hard drive full of secret recordings, hours of private conversations, ready to destroy what was left of T.Y.'s image. When the first clip played, the room went dead silent. Again, that same familiar voice whispered, "Just keep it quiet, Shekinah. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." Reporters nearly fell over themselves trying to post it first. Tiny couldn't even look up, her face hidden behind trembling hands as the truth played out in surround sound. Within seconds, the hashtag shifted once again. Hashtag Justice for Tiny was back at the top, and this time, nobody was doubting her pain. Empire destroyed, Tiny shattered, Shekinah exposed. The truth wasn't a rumor anymore. It was official, digital, and permanent. The courtroom had turned into a graveyard for T.I.'s reputation, and the evidence was stacking up fast. Tiny's lawyers slammed down hotel receipts, showing reservations under T.Y.'s name, with Shekinah listed as the guest. The jury didn't even need words, their shocked faces said everything. This wasn't gossip anymore. This wasn't fan-made drama. This was betrayal in black ink. A full paper trail connecting Clifford Harris straight to his wife's best friend. Tiny's attorney stood tall, staring the jury down, and declared, "This is not speculation. This is proof that Clifford Harris destroyed his wife's trust, humiliated her publicly, and shattered their family before the entire world." The courtroom shook. Tiny, trembling and heartbroken, collapsed into her lawyer's arms as the gallery buzzed in disbelief. The defense scrambled to save face. T's lawyer jumped up waving documents, shouting that the receipts were forged and planted by enemies in the music industry trying to take T.I. down. The tension was electric. Nobody knew who to believe anymore. Meanwhile, social media was on fire. Conspiracy theories exploded across every platform. Some fans swore T.I. was being framed, but most didn't buy it. They called it what it looked like. The coldest, most calculated betrayal hip-hop had ever seen. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Shekinah took the stand. Her hands shook, her eyes glassy but fierce. She looked directly at T.I., then at Tiny, her lips trembling before she finally spoke. The silence was deafening. Everyone could feel it. Something huge was about to drop. "I never wanted to hurt Tiny. She was my sister," Shekinah cried, her voice trembling so hard the whole courtroom leaned in. "But T, I promised me everything. He said he'd leave her. He said I was the one." Her words echoed through the hall as tears streamed down her face. But sympathy was nowhere to be found. Outside, protesters chanted, "Stand with Tiny," while inside, fans whispered liar under their breath, glaring daggers at her from the gallery. Shekinah tried to paint herself as a victim, but Tiny's legal team wasn't having it. They came armed with the kind of receipts that make the internet explode. Screenshots of private DMs allegedly sent from Shekinah to T.I. One message read like a knife to the heart, "Cliff, I can't wait until she's out of the picture. It's finally going to be just us." The courtroom erupted. Reporters bolted for the doors to break the headline, while social media froze mid-scroll as the screenshots flooded timelines. In that instant, Shekinah wasn't just the other woman anymore. She became a co-conspirator, accused of plotting against the very friend who once called her family. Tiny broke down in sobs, her pain raw and unbearable. She turned to the judge and cried out, "How much more do I have to see? How much more can a woman take?" The moment went viral in seconds, fans calling it one of the most heartbreaking meltdowns ever caught on camera. But just when everyone thought it couldn't get heavier, another twist dropped. A hotel employee took the stand, testifying that he personally saw T.I. and Shekinah checking in together. Multiple times, the room gasped, Phones lit up, and T.I. snapped, slamming his fist on the table, shouting, "They're lying!" The courtroom exploded into chaos, guards rushing forward as the once powerful rapper fought to hold on to the last pieces of his crumbling empire. "This is all lies. I'm being set up," T.I. shouted, his voice booming through the courtroom. The judge slammed his gavel, warning him with contempt charges, but the damage was already done. Cameras caught every second of his meltdown. Within hours, the clip had gone viral, racking up millions of views under captions like "The Empire Crumbles" and "Caught in the Act." The once private heartbreak had become a public disaster. Outside, the chaos was unreal. News vans covered every inch of the courthouse steps, helicopters buzzed overhead, and influencers were live streaming every twist to millions of viewers dissecting it all in real time. Protesters waved signs that read, "Ban the betrayers," while massive murals of Tiny popped up across Atlanta, crowning her as the queen rising from the ashes. Every move, every tear, every whisper turned into content, transforming a family's tragedy into a worldwide spectacle. Then, out of nowhere came the financial bombshell that no one saw coming. An anonymous leak dropped bank records showing massive transfers, tens of thousands of dollars from T.I.'s account straight to Shekinah, spread out over 2 years. The courtroom went dead silent. The implication hit hard. This wasn't just a messy affair, it looked like hush money. As the numbers flashed on the courtroom projector, Tiny gasped in disbelief. The jury's jaws dropped, and Shekinah broke down screaming, "It wasn't about money. I loved him. I thought he loved me back." Her cries echoed through the chamber. Critics called it the performance of a lifetime, while fans labeled it the final nail in her coffin. By this point, Tiny had become more than just a betrayed wife. She was a symbol of strength, the face of every woman who had ever stood by the wrong man. As she stepped out of the courthouse, pale but powerful, the cameras swarmed. Through trembling lips, she whispered words that would soon be replayed across every screen in America. "This isn't just about me," Tiny said, her voice breaking but fierce. "This is about every woman who's ever been lied to, betrayed, and broken. I will fight until the truth is heard." Those words hit like thunder, echoing across every news outlet, replayed in endless loops that turned her into the tragic heroine of the decade. Meanwhile, T.I. sat stone-faced in the courtroom, watching decades of success collapse right in front of him. Endorsements gone, concerts canceled, fans furious, chanting outside his mansion with posters that read, "Accountability for Clifford." His once respected name now dripped with betrayal and shame. Shekinah, once chasing fame, was now buried under it. Her Instagram turned into a digital battlefield full of hate comments, crying emojis, and memes mocking her downfall. Tiny, though shattered beyond words, stood taller than ever. Her pain became her power, carried by millions of women who saw their own heartbreak reflected in her eyes. Across social media, people crowned her the queen of heartbreak and resilience. Hashtags turned into movements, her photos into inspiration, and her tears into a symbol of strength the world couldn't stop watching. What started as one leaked hotel video had spiraled into a brutal war of receipts, recordings, betrayal, and heartbreak. The courtroom wasn't just about justice anymore. It had become America's biggest stage. Every revelation, another act in a real-life drama that no one could turn away from. By the third week, it no longer felt like a trial. It was a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy, unfolding live and raw before millions. The air was heavy with silence as Tiny, trembling, stared at the two people who had torn her world apart, her husband, T.I., and her once best friend, Shekinah. There was no rumor left to debate, no speculation to argue. The betrayal was now written, recorded, and read aloud, word for word, from diaries, voicemails, and receipts too vivid, too devastating to ever forget. When Shekinah took the microphone, her trembling voice sliced through the silence like a blade. "Clifford promised me love. He promised me freedom. He told me Tiny was holding him back." The moment those words hit the air, the entire courtroom gasped. Tiny collapsed into her lawyer's arms as tears streamed down her face, and the world outside seemed to stop scrolling all at once. This wasn't celebrity gossip anymore. This was heartbreak turned into a weapon, broadcast live for millions to consume. Social media lost its mind again. Hashtags like #TinyBroken and #ExposedForever shot straight into the stratosphere. Fans filmed themselves crying in reaction videos, while influencers went live, reading diary entries out loud to thousands of viewers hanging on to every word. Memes of T.I. flooded timelines. Captions like "Empire of Lies" and "Snake of the South" went viral overnight. Shekinah's name became toxic. People dug up her old interviews, clips, and posts, dragging her for chasing clout and destroying a family for attention. The internet had spoken, and Tiny was officially crowned their queen. Broken but undefeated, humiliated yet powerful, she became the voice of every woman who'd ever been betrayed by a man she trusted. But just when the tension couldn't possibly climb higher, Tiny's lawyers dropped another nuclear revelation. A second leak. This time, it wasn't a diary or a screenshot. It was a voicemail. and when it played, the air itself seemed to freeze. T's voice came through the speakers, low, desperate, and unmistakable. I can't let Tiny know. If this gets out, it's over for me. But you're the only one who understands me. The courtroom went completely still. Reporters tripped over each other trying to upload the clip first, and then Tiny screamed. A raw, piercing cry that echoed through the chamber, silencing everything. The sound of that scream became the new headline across the globe, a moment too painful to watch, yet too powerful to ignore. You ruined my family! You lied to my children! Tiny's voice exploded through the courtroom like thunder, echoing in every corner. Cameras flashed, microphones caught every word, and within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Headlines, timelines, news alerts. It instantly became one of the most devastating scandals in hip-hop history. Outside, Atlanta was burning with emotion. Protesters filled the streets, chanting for justice and waving signs that screamed, "Justice for Tiny," and "Cancel T.I. forever." The crowd was massive, angry, heartbroken, and loud. Others mocked Shekinah, carrying cardboard cutouts of her face and chanting brutal slogans that cemented her as the internet's villain of the year. The courthouse steps looked like a red carpet of chaos. News anchors, podcasters, and YouTubers fighting for the best camera angle as they dissected every tear, every scream, every shocking twist. Helicopters hovered above while news vans stretched down the block, and fans live streamed it all like they were watching the fall of a hip-hop king in real time. Inside, Tiny took the stand and delivered the testimony that broke hearts across the globe. Her voice cracked as she said through tears, "I gave him my youth, my loyalty, my heart, and he traded it all for lies with my so-called best friend." The words cut through the courtroom like blades, raw, painful, unforgettable. T.I. tried to fight back, insisting he'd been manipulated, lured, and trapped, but the jury's cold stares said everything. They weren't buying a word of it. Then Shekinah broke down again, screaming, "He loved me! Don't make me the villain when all I did was believe his lies." But nobody was convinced. To the world, she had crossed the ultimate line, betraying her best friend for the very man who was supposed to protect her from pain. And then came the final dagger, the one that ended everything. Tiny's lawyers brought out the last piece of evidence, Shekinah's own handwritten diary entries. The courtroom went dead silent as the words appeared on screen. Clifford said we'd rule the industry together. Tiny is nothing compared to what we have. The gallery gasped in disbelief. Tiny's body trembled. She collapsed again, clutching her chest and whispering through tears, "Why me?" Cameras caught it all, replaying the heartbreaking moment across every major network. That single breakdown shifted everything. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was pure tragedy, laid bare for the world to witness. The headlines turned from gossip to grief. "The Queen falls," read one. "Love lies and legacy destroyed," read another. By the time the judge called adjournment, the damage was irreversible. Tiny had to be helped into a black SUV by her team, sobbing uncontrollably, while T.I. walked out with his head low, dodging questions as crowds booed and shouted for justice. Shekinah pushed her way through a sea of cameras and insults, her once bold, confident energy completely gone. The same woman who once craved the spotlight now looked broken, drowning in the shame that came with her own handwriting exposed to the world. Social media lit up instantly. Clips of Tiny's collapse gained millions of views, fans posting tearful reactions, and influencers sharing their own betrayal stories. Comment sections filled with heartbreak and fury while debates raged about whether T.I. could ever recover from this. The fallout was brutal. Radio stations started debating whether to pull his songs, platforms saw boycotts trending under hashtag #CancelTI, and sponsors cut ties overnight. Tours were scrapped, brand deals vanished, and the empire that once looked untouchable was now collapsing brick by brick, all in front of millions of stunned fans. And in the middle of it all, one thing was certain. Shekinah's name had become the ultimate symbol of scandal and betrayal. Her old reality show clips, once full of laughter and glamour, were now plastered across the internet as memes mocking her downfall. Every frame twisted into a reminder of how far she'd fallen. But through the wreckage, Tiny carried herself like a survivor, a woman who refused to be broken. She emerged as the queen of heartbreak, shattered yet standing taller than ever, lifted by waves of global sympathy and admiration. Then came the image that stopped the world, a shaky fan video capturing Tiny holding her daughter's hand outside the courthouse. Through trembling lips, she whispered, "This is why I fought to protect you, to show you that no woman deserves this." That clip went viral instantly, spreading across every platform with the caption, "A queen, broken but never defeated. It became the symbol of the entire scandal, a portrait of betrayal, pain, and resilience wrapped in one heartbreaking moment. As the dust began to settle, haunting questions lingered in the air. Will Tiny ever truly heal from this? Can T.I. rebuild the ruins of his empire? Or has his legacy been poisoned forever? And what about Shekinah? Has she sealed her fate as one of the most hated women in hip-hop history? Because this wasn't just another celebrity scandal. This was betrayal on the grandest stage imaginable. A love story reduced to ashes, a friendship turned into knives, and children forced to carry scars from choices they never made. The cameras captured every second, but what they really exposed was something deeper. A reminder that behind the fame, the filters, and the headlines are real hearts breaking in real time. We talk about scandals like they're entertainment, but this wasn't entertainment, it was pure tragedy. A family torn apart in front of millions, a courtroom transformed into a stage, and a queen standing in the center, crying out for justice while the world watched in silence. History will never forget this moment. It won't be remembered as gossip, but as the day a hip-hop empire came crashing down. What started as whispers turned into one of the most heartbreaking public downfalls the culture has ever seen. Tiny's pain, T.I.'s collapse, and Shekinah's shame. It's all written in digital stone now, playing out like a modern tragedy the whole world witnessed live. So now the question is, where do you stand? Do you stand with Tiny, the woman who turned her heartbreak into strength? Do you believe T.I. can ever rebuild what's left of his legacy? Or has Shekinah destroyed every last piece of trust this family once had? Because this isn't just another headline, this is history unfolding in real time. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with your people, and drop a comment below. Let's talk about it, because this story is far from over, and you're going to want to be here when the next chapter drops.